het al gesien het nie? Okay, right. Here we are. Okay. We have to do in the grade 12 final paper somewhere this year. I'm going to ask you to do the ledger account ordinary share capital in a formal assessment. Dit beteken of ek is nou besig. You're not paying attention. So either most probably in the March test, I'm going to let you do the ordinary share capital account. And then in June, I will let you do the note. Gaan ek die nota moet vra. In September, again, maybe the account or the note. But hulle gaan vir die einde van die jaar, if there are 2 notes that they really ask every single year, it's the note for ordinary share capital en die nota vir behoue inkomste, because they are completely new notes. Die ander notas van die finansiële state, die other notes, interest income, interest expense, vaste bates, fixed assets, inventories, voorrade, cash and cash equivalents, kontant en kontant ekwivalente, ordinary share capital is a new one in the place of capital for partnerships. And retained income is a new one, behoue inkomste in die plek van die privaat rekeninge van die vennootskap, né? And then the last one is the note for trade and other payables. Is julle by daarmee? So the only completely new notes is the one for share capital and the one for retained income. So dis hoekom hulle dit aan mekaar vra. Want dit is eers in graad 12, it's really grade 12 work. Jy doen dit glad nie voor die tyd nie. Right, now in the ordinary share capital note. Jy weet mos nou al dat gewone aandele kapitaal bestaan uit gemagtigde aandele, authorized shares, en dan die aandele wat werklik uitgereik is. For you as shareholder, it's important to remember you are allowed, and we are just working with public companies, ons werk net met publieke maatskappye of openbare maatskappye. A public company must publicize its financial statements. Hy moet, dis die wet sê, die finansiële state van 'n publieke maatskappy moet in die pers gepubliseer word. It must be available for anybody to read, not just the shareholders of that company. Anybody that can read must be able to have access to this. So it word in die koerant gepubliseer, in financial magazines, meeste van die kere in 'n koerant. Is julle by daarmee, mense? Right. Now, if you are a shareholder, you would like to see what is the maximum number of shares this company is authorized to issue. As jy die aandeelhouer is, gaan jy wil weet, Israel, are you paying attention? What is the maximum number of shares authorized? In dis hoekom dit altyd begin. This note starts with authorized, gemagtig. Because if you are the shareholder, you would like to know, because you will know how many shares you actually is in your possession. Jy gaan mos weet. So hierso is 'n miljoen aandele. If you have 100 shares, then you know you are a very small fry in the shareholder pool. Is julle by daarmee? Is julle alright hiermee? Okay. Right. Dan dit gewoonlik tik ons dit op die antwoordbladsy. We will, because it's information that we must supply, why will we let you rewrite it and you give you marks for what we actually told you? Is julle by, so dit word gewoonlik getik. Dan gaan ons die volgende deeltjie gaan oor die uitgereikte aandele kapitaal. Now, you know that the issued share capital, there will be shares in issue at the start of the year. Dan kan jy mos in die loop van die jaar nog aandele uitreik. There can be more shares issued. En jy kan mos aandele terugkry. Jy wat die maatskappy is. Remember, the company prepares this. So this is from the view of the company. Die maatskappy gaan hierdie nota opstel. So dit is uit die oogpunt van die maatskappy. Wat kan met die maatskappy se aandele gebeur? Daar sal aandele alreeds uitgereik wees aan die begin van die jaar. Tensy dit 'n nuwe maatskappy was, then there will be nothing in issue at the start of the year. Maar ons werk nooit eintlik regtig met 'n nuwe maatskappy nie. But it can happen in this exam. I don't know I will know an hour after you started writing. I will know what's in the paper at the end of the year. Ek weet nie voor die tyd nie. Dankie. I will know an hour after you've started writing. So they can this year tell you this is a brand new company. So then in issue at the start of the year will be nothing. Maar daar was die aandele gewees aan die begin van die jaar nie. Is julle by? Die woorde hierso sal wees, here is the number of shares. Hierdie is vir die aantal, let me write. Ek gaan dis nie ek gaan nou hier skryf, maar dit is nie veronderstel om daar te staan nie. Aantal number. Dis nie veronderstel om daar te staan nie. Ek verduidelik net vir jou. That's the number of shares. Hierso is the description, die beskrywing, and this is the amount. Ek verduidelik net die kolommetjie. It's not super, you need to know that. Ek verduidelik nou maar net. So now for this, we need to read the information and see what was the number of shares in issue at the start of the year. Wat was die aantal aandele wat reeds uitgereik was aan die begin van die jaar? En dit sal reg bo staan. 500,000 aandele. Kan julle sien? Daar staan. So you will write 500,000 in the number or quantity. So gaan ek moet nou nie weer in rooi skryf nie. Dis 500,000. Jou woorde gaan wees shares. Ek vergeet maar klein tikkies. Wanneer hierdie jaar begin? 31st of sal 1 September 2020 wees. On 1 September 2020. Aandele in uitreiking op 1 September 2020. And the amount was 1.5 million. This is the information that we have to supply. Ons moet dit vir jou gee. If we don't give it, we will give you information to calculate. Nee? Is julle by? Are we fine with that? Is julle all right? Now, what can happen to shares? We, the company, can issue more shares and we can buy back. Daar kan niks anders te gebeur nie. Is julle all right? We can only issue more shares and buy back the shares. We, the company, we are now, remember, we are preparing this as the company. Ons is die maatskappy, ons berei hierdie state voor. So we must now read my neus juk. My ma so gesê het ek sal kwaad raak. Sometimes I really miss my mother. She passed away in 2011. It's funny, no, people, when somebody dies, you remember a lot about that person. My father passed away when I was 18 in 1982. So I can remember a lot of things, but I cannot remember his voice. This year it's 41 years ago. I can remember what he said. When I grew up, my parents, my father didn't believe in corporal punishment. So hy het altyd gesê as jy iets gedoen het wat jy nie moes doen nie. Then he said in his, but I can't remember his voice, but he really should have rather hit you. So gekyk, I sê vir jou, my surname was Van Niekerk before I got married. Van Niekerk maak nie so nie. That was the worst thing you could have said. You should rather have hit you. If just looked at you and said, Van Niekerk maak nie so nie. But I can't remember his voice. Maar my ma se stem kan ek baie mooi onthou. My ma het altyd gesê, Ronel, is jy dan nou heeltemal mal? I remember her voice, but ek kan glad nie my pa se stem onthou nie. Ek weet nie hoekom dit so. Do you think it's just because it's too many years ago? I really cannot remember. I can't remember, but I remember the way he said, but I can't remember I remember his face and everything. Like my youngest brother was only 11. He said they can't even remember what my father said. Dis maar wat dit is. Kom ons kyk gou hier. So kom ons lees die inligting. Op die 1 Maart 2021 het die maatskappy 'n verdere 100,000 aandele uitgereik. Can you see that's the next thing that happened to the shares? Remember the note, the order in the note must be the order that the transactions, that the stuff happened. Okay, so wat het volgende gebeur met aandele op 1 Maart 2021? So nou skryf ek hier so in. Dit was nou hoeveel aandele gewees? 100,000, né? 100,000 aandele. So in the number or the quantity 100,000. Hierso skryf ek nou. shares issued on 1 March 2021 at 15 rands each. Ek skryf presies wat gebeur het, because the people who's going to read this need to know how many shares and what was the price. Is julle by daarmee? Is julle alright? In Afrikaans gaan jy sê, aandele uitgereik. And that was 1.5 million. Is it reg? Are we fine? Is julle okay so far? If you look at the account that we've done when we did this presies so daar staan. That was the balance and that was issued. Kan julle sien? It's just now written in a more reader-friendly way. But as jy nie rekeningkunde agtergrond het nie, gaan jy nie die rekening verstaan nie. But anybody that can read this. Is julle okay hiermee? Then what is the next thing that happened to our shares? Wat het volgende met ons aandele gebeur? Op 18 Julie het ons mos die aandele teruggekoop. 180,000 aandele. I just want to, if we buy back, as ons terugkoop, then it's going to be in brackets, want ons het mos nou nie meer daai aandele nie. Is julle reg daarmee? Are we fine? Shares bought back at average issue price of, ons het dit mos uitgewerk, ek gaan nou nie weer dit vir jou wys nie, maar ons het mos dit uitgewerk, kan julle onthou? Daar het ons dit mos gedoen, hier iewers, waar het ek het gedoen, ek het dit iewers gedoen, daar, dit was mos R5 elk, né? Kan julle onthou, it was R5 each, at R5 each, en wat was 180 maal met 5, is 900,000? In brackets, because we paid that back. In Afrikaans gaan dit wees, aandele teruggekoop, gemiddelde uitreikingsprys, is julle alright? Are we fine with this? If we go to our account, look what we said. That was the balance. Dis wat ons gekoop het. Dis is wat ons teruggekoop het. Vir uitgereik, teruggekoop. Is julle alright daarmee? Can you see we are just rewriting the account in a much more reader-friendly way. Enige ou wat kan lees, gaan dit nou kan verstaan. En nou kom jy by die totale. 500 plus 100 gives me 600 minus 180, 420,000 shares. Is dit reg? Shares in issue on 31 August 2021. Aandele in uitreiking op 31 Augustus 2021. Is julle alright? Are we fine with that? Doen ons die sommetjie, 1.5 plus 1.5 is 3, minus the 900, 2.1 million. En dit moet ons nou ook die saldo in die rekening wees. Is julle alright hiermee? Are we fine with this? Okay, kom ons gaan na die saldo in die rekening. What did we say in the account? 2.1 million. Is julle by? Are we fine? Next year on the 31st of August 2022, when you do the new statements, dan gaan jy hier begin met hoeveel? 420,000 aandele in issue on 1 September 2021, because the end of this year will be the start of the next year. Is julle by daarmee? Okay. Nou, is daar iemand wat dit nie verstaan nie? Are we fine? Okay. So can you see it's really just, Tanya, are you fine? Is there anyone who doesn't understand? Is Tanya still awake? Iemand wat nie verstaan nie? Okay. Nou gaan ons na behoue inkomste. The next thing, retained income is difficult to understand if you don't have an accounting background. So as met hierdie rekening moet ons nou gaan skryf op 'n manier wat dit maklik is vir enige wat kan lees. So kom ons kyk hoe werk die nota. Ek wil met op 'n aparte bladsy kry want ek haar dit is my goed nie. Ek is mos half juffrou. Sy sê mos ek is nie lekker nie. Juffrou Duncan sê mos ek is 'n bietjie autisties. Right, we had to do the note for retained income. Die nota vir en so seker is wat jy hier sit, you are going to most probably get this note at the end of this year. Jy gaan dit definitief kry. Wat hulle vra dit mos nou graag. Right, now where does it start? Jy gaan ons begin. Retained income is you explain what happened to the savings of this company. Dis wat jy verduidelik. Wat het gebeur met die maatskappy se geld? Is jy by? The company should have money at the start. So dan moet mos 'n saldo wees. Is jy by daarmee? That balance must be on the first day of this financial year. So kom ons kyk, was daar 'n saldo? Let's check. There was a balance and daai saldo was gewees 5260 miljoen. Is jy by? Okay, 5260. Ek kan dit inskryf voor ek vergeet. 5260. And this is balance on 1 September 2020. Saldo op 1 September. Julle is besig om te praat terwyl ek werk en is bitter onbeskof. Are we fine with that? Is julle alright? Do you know that you're fine? Iemand wat nie verstaan nie? Okay, now, you know that the company makes a profit. Kom ons sê, hier het vir ons gesê wat die wins was. They told us the profit. Die wins was, volgens die wins se verlies, 2,9 miljoen. That's the profit. That's all of that belong to the company. Wie gaan heel eerste van daai geld moet kry? SARS, do you have a choice in SARS? No. So ons gaan moet sê, net income after profit, because we can, after tax, we cannot keep the tax money for us. Ons kan al die ander vir ons hou as ons wil, but that would be foolish of the company, because the shareholders will be unhappy. We can keep the rest of if let's say the profit is 100 Rand, and 30 Rand must go to SARS, the 70 Rand, the company can keep that, as ons regtig maar wil. Maar dan gaan ons nie gelukkige aandeelhouers hê nie. Verstaan julle dit? Can we keep the full 100 Rand? No way in hell. Van daai 30 Rand gaan SARS wil hê, jy kan maak wat jy wil. SARS wants its share. Is julle by daarmee? So, this is how much of the previous year's profit we already have. Then we can add net profit after tax. Because we cannot keep the tax money for ourselves. Dit moet gaan. You understand this, Ms. Fennel? Julle by? Ons kan nie die belastinggeld vir die maatskappy, ons die maatskappy mag nie daai geld hou nie. You can try, but you're going to get into, you the director is going to get into trouble, not the shareholders, because you are responsible for the financial side of this business. Is julle by daarmee? Okay, so die sommetjie gaan ons moet loop doen. Let's check. Daar was gewees 2, ek alweer vergeet hoeveel, gesien. 2.9 and 30% is the tax. Is that right? So hoe gaan my sommetjie nou lyk? And I want you to get into the habit to show this calculation. It's 2.9 million. As 30% vir belasting gaan, hoeveel gaan nie vir belasting nie? So all I do is I show this times 70%. You can have 2.9 million minus the 30% if you want to, maar dis eintlik ek weet met as ek 30% belasting betaal, then 70% is mine. Do you understand that? Mine being the company. Is julle alright daarmee? Look, do you understand this? So it's 2.9 million times 70% to 2.30. Kyk gou of jy so 'n bietjie reg is. Dit reg? Are we fine? Is julle alright? Is my so 'n bietjie reg? Check it of ek reg is. Want op partykeer maak ek foute. Are we okay with this? Is julle alright? Right, now, the next step will be, did the company keep all of this for itself? Wat kan die maatskappy doen? The company can invest more money in itself by buying back shares, onthou? Die maatskappy kan ons aandele terugkoop en hy ekstra bietjie moet ons uit die maatskappy se geld uitkom, onthou julle dit? The company will most probably have to pay dividends because if the company doesn't pay that dividends, gaan die aandeelhouers sê goodbye, I'm selling my shares, wish me well as you wave me goodbye. Is julle by daarmee? So the first thing we are going to look for is shares bought back. Want hulle gaan vir jou almekaar dit vra. Aandele teruggekoop. En wat moet daarin kom? Just the extra bit. Remember? We know that we bought shares back at teen hoeveel rand? We bought it back at 20 rand per share. Ons het gesien die gemiddelde uitdrukkingsprys was 5 rand. Soveel moes ons betaal het? 15. Is julle by daarmee? You understand that? Show your calculation. It help jou elke keer om die... So my berekening gaan soos volg lyk. It was 180,000 shares that we bought back. Times, is it 20, was it in 20 rand? 15 minus the, is it 15 or 20 rand? What? 20 minus the 5. Ek het 'n hakie sit. Because I want to make 100% sure that I get them as much as possible of the marks allocated for this. Is julle by daarmee? And that gives me 15 rand. So ek moet 180,000 maal met 15 hê. Is julle by daarmee? Kry julle ook 2,7 miljoen? Right. This is money that we are spending. So dit moet obviously mos nou in hakkies wees. We being the company. En as ek praat van we, is dit ons, die maatskappy. Is julle okay? Are we fine here, people? Colin, are you fine? Tara, are you fine? Anybody a problem? Tamia, is jy okay? Enige iemand 'n probleem? Seker? Okay, are we fine? So notice of that 5.2 million, we added 2 something million of profit after tax. Ons het gebruik om aandele terug te koop. What's the next thing that we're supposed to do? If we are a responsible company, what's the next thing we should do with the profit? Wie moet ons 'n bietjie gee? For the shareholders. So, ordinary share dividends. Gewone aandele dividende. Is julle alright daarmee? Right. Now, you know that any responsible company will talk about dividends twice a year. Is it right? Somewhere during the year and at the end of the year. Want jy wil mos jou aandeelhouers gelukkig hou. You want to give them some money during the year so they can stay your shareholders. Is julle by? And at the end of the year, you need to tell them that I will give you more dividends, so dat hulle nog steeds in jou maatskappy bly vloei. Is julle alright daarmee? So, during the year, interim. In Afrikaans is tussentyds die Afrikaanse woord daarvoor, maar ons aanvaar ook interim. And then there's final. Is dit reg? Finaal. Is julle by? For final, they sometimes use the term recommended. Finaal. Aanbeveel. Of verklaar, is die ander Afrikaanse woord. Recommended or declared. Jy moet enige van daai terme, jy moet watter terme hulle ook al gebruik in 'n vraestel, is die een wat jy gebruik. Final dividends, finaal, aanbeveel, verklaar, is almal dieselfde. Is julle alright daarmee? Right, now let's go and see. What was the interim dividends? Die inligting is mos vir jou gegee. So het vir jou gesê, interim dividends of 75 cents per share. Ek gaan weer my berekeningkie wys. Show your calculation. At that stage, it was 500,000 shares and each one got 75 cents. So ek gaan dit hier skryf. Ek wil my sommetjie wys. Ons het bestaan die sommetjie gedoen. 500,000 aandele times 75 was 375,000 rand. Is dit reg? 375,000. Is julle okay daarmee? Are we fine? The final, die wat ons verklaar het, ek het daai sommetjie ook iewers vir jou gewys. Ek soek dit net gou-gou. Dit sal seker in die shell, dis hier so, dit sal hier wees. Daar is dit. Ons het gesê, daar was 420.000 aandele, en elkeen het mos R1.60 gekry, kan jy onthou, ons het dit mos gelees? Ms. Chikambola, are you fine? Right. Ek wil net nie weer gaan al die goed loop soek nie. Okay, 420.000 times 1.6, 672.000, is dit reg? Now, can you see this is a little block? You know that whatever in a block in accounting, add and on top of the block. Né? Dis moes hoe dit werk in rekening met blokkies. Dit plus die 375.000. Okay, now, this is dividends that we are going to pay. We've paid some of it and we will pay the others later. So dit is geld wat ons gaan uitgee. Dis hoekom dit in hakkies staan. It's money we are going to spend. We, the company, is planning. Some of that has been spent already. Die ander moet ons nou nog betaal, maar ons moet dit gee. Is julle by daarmee? Are you fine, Ms. Vendel? All that remains, you now do your calculation. En wat gaan jou sommetjie wees? You don't take this in the little block into consideration, maar jy het mos klaar die sommetjie gedoen. Ek gaan dit nou maar 'n ander kleur maak. Kom ons maak dit nou sommer net rooi. You're going to take everything in red, plus and minus, and that should give you the balance on 31st August 2021, saldo op 31 Augustus 2021. Het ek alweer die A vergeet van die hoofletter. Okay, kom ons tel op. Is the 5260123 plus die 2.030.000 minus the 2.7 million minus the 1047.23. 3543, is dit reg? Okay. 3543.23 en red, ek gaan dit ook maar rooi maak. That must be the same as the balance in the retained income. Is dit dieselfde as die saldo oor die behoue inkomste? Ek soek dit net gou-gou. 3543. Kan jy sien? It's exactly the retained income account. Kanya, you're asleep? Just written in a different format. Is julle all right? Iemand wat nie verstaan nie? Is this difficult, people? Homework op die activity 2 moet jy dan nou doen vir huiswerk. Dan gaan ek dit môre merk and I will mark the counting equation. Is it all right? Is it all right? Okay. Klopwoord, ek gepaar nou te lyne.